At arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Baker, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Bro, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Canton Chu, Cooley, Cooper, DeBobne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Christina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Brendan, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurman, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
Members, a quorum is present. A quorum is present in the assembly. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. The day's prayer will be offered by Assemblywoman Brown. Assemblywoman Brown.
Heavenly Father, you are the author of harmony, of reason, and of progress. Because of our limitations and our point of view, our progress is not always harmonious, nor is it always reasonable. Help us now in this chamber to struggle through the difficulties which divide us. Help each of us to use our own particular God-given talents to bring about a meeting of the minds for what's best for our people and for the state. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Wood as he leads us in the pledge. Dr. Wood.
Please place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Tuesday, August 25th, 2015. The Assembly met at 7 a.m. Honorable Rocky J. Chavez, the Assembly Member, 76th District presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dotson Wilson at the desk. Reading Clerk Kathleen M. Lewis reading. The following were placed upon the morning roll call. Ashajian, Alejo, Allen,
Mr.
Baker.
Holden moves, and Ms. Waldron seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving to motions and resolutions, the absences for the day, there are no absences today. Mr. Holden, you are recognized for your procedural motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118 and allow Assembly members Calderon and Wood to have guests and photographers on the floor today.
Without objection, the request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Assembly members Cooley, Dodd, Gibson, and Holden to speak on adjourned memory today.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I request unanimous consent to withdraw SJR 9 Stone from the Health Committee and to place the bill on third reading.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Mr. Speaker, at the request of the author, please return file item 78, Assembly Bill 1320, Mainshine, to the Senate for further action.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
At the request of the author, please remove the following bills from the consent calendar. File item 209, Senate Bill 734, De Leon. File item 210, Senate Bill 800, Committee on Business Professions and Economic Development.
The clerk will note.
Senate Bill 337, Pavley, is at the desk. At the request of the author, I move to rescind the action whereby Senate Bill 337 was passed on the Senate on July 16, 2015, and to return the bill to the third reading file.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, if we could have your attention as we move to guest introductions. Members. Members, on behalf of Assemblymember Wood, we would like to welcome Dr. Wood's 19-year-old son, Alex Wood, joining the Assemblyman on the floor today. Members, we will recess the regular session for the purpose of convening the first extraordinary session. Without objection, we will substitute the prayer, pledge, and other opening procedures in the regular session for those items in the first extraordinary session. Business on the extraordinary file. AB 3, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3 by Assemblymember Frazier and others, an act relating to transportation.
Members, please, your attention. Mr. Frazier, you have the floor. You may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today, this is a procedural vote to move these vehicles to the Senate in order for them to be available for any transportation and infrastructure agreement that is reached in the next couple of weeks. The Senate is also sending bills to the Assembly. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 41, noes 26. Measure passes. AB 4. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 4 by Assemblymember Frazier and others, an act relating to transportation.
Mr. Frazier, you may again open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Again, today this is another procedural vote to move this vehicle to the Senate in order for them to be available for a transportation and infrastructure agreement that is reached, if there is an agreement that is reached in the next couple of weeks. The Senate is also sending their bills to the Assembly. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. See no discussion or debate on this item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 41, noes 26. Measure passes. The first extraordinary session is recessed under call of the Speaker. We will now move to convening the second extraordinary session. Without objection, we will substitute the prayer, pledge, and other opening procedures in the regular session for those items in the second extraordinary session. Business on the extraordinary file, third reading, AB 1. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1 by Assemblymember Bonta, an act relating to social services.
Mr. Bonta, you may open.
Thank you, members. I'm asking for your aye vote today on this procedural vote to move this vehicle to the Senate in order for the Senate to be available for any health special session agreement that is reached in the next couple of weeks. The Senate is also sending two bills that are identical to the two I'm presenting today over to the Assembly. Thank you for your consideration. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 42, noes 26. Measure passes. Moving to file item, AB2 on the extraordinary file. AB2, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2 by Assemblymember Bonta, an act relating to social services.
Mr. Bonta.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker and members. This is the second vehicle that we're sending over to the Senate in order for it to be available for any health special session agreement that is reached. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 44, noes 26. Measure passes. AB 10 on the extraordinary file is pass and retain. The second extraordinary session is recessed under call of the Speaker. We are back in the regular session. Business on the daily file. Second reading. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 148, 478, 197 with amendments, 91, 99, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 11, 25, 33, 48, 178, 199, 210, 229, 238, 252, 296, 319, 334, 359, 387, 484, 549, 644, 696, 763, 23, 185, 260, 261, 295, 331, 343, 347, 350, 376, 435, 441, 548, 555, 599, 637, 664, 673, 686, 707, 7 with amendments, 32 with amendments, 42 with amendments, 119 with amendments, 137 with amendments, 239 with amendments, 253 with amendments, 333 with amendments, 467 with amendments, 468 with amendments, 513 with amendments, 546 with amendments, 612 with amendments, 614 with amendments, 682 with amendments, 703 with amendments, 249, and 29 with amendments.
All bills will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Members, we are moving to concurrence. Top of the concurrence file, file item 71. That's AB 625. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 625 by Assemblymember Bonta, an act relating to school finance.
Mr. Bonta, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I present AB 625 on concurrence. This bill has been on consent, members, in both the Assembly and the Senate, and the Senate amendments are technical and avoid chaptering out. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 71, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File items 72 and 73 pass and retain. File item 74, AB 1034. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1034 by Assemblymember Obernolte and others, an act relating to surface mining.
Mr. Obernolte.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 1034 will help California meet its renewable energy goals by allowing the siting of renewable energy projects on already disturbed mining lands like the many in my district. The Senate amendments clarify that the projects in question are solar and wind projects and make other technical changes. Members, this bill has enjoyed broad bipartisan support in both chambers of the legislature, and I hope that continues today. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Obernolte. Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 72, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 75, AB 169. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 169 by Assemblymember Mainshine and others, an act relating to local government.
Mr. Mainshine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 169 is back here on concurrence. Amendments taken in the Senate further clarify the bill is permissive and adds co-authors. Thank you, and I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mainshine. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tie the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 76, that's AB 216. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 216 by Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, an act relating to product sales to minors.
Ms. Garcia, you may open.
AB 216 would make it illegal for stores to sell non-nicotine vaping electronic cigarette devices to anyone under the age of 18. Minors under the age of 18 years old are now free to purchase and use these products. In fact, the number of children using e-cigarettes or vape pens has doubled every year since 2009. This bill has received wide bipartisan support and has no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 77, AB 757. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 757 by Assemblymember Gomez, an act relating to healing arts.
Mr. Gomez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 757 is back in the Assembly for concurrence. The amendments now narrow the class of the test the bills apply to, require that the qualifications of the person who may perform this test as a licensed plasma collection facility meet federal standards, and insert strict training, certification, and documentation requirements. AB 757 has received unanimous bipartisan support throughout the process. I thank you and ask you for your concurrence in the Senate amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 78 is passed and retained. We're moving to file item 79. That's AB 646. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 646 by Assemblymember McCarty, an act relating to state archives, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. McCarty, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 46 is a cleanup measure to AB 1234, which we passed earlier this year. This bill simply reinstates, as an ex officio member, the voting status for the Secretary of State as a representative on the Department of Parks and California Museum Board. There is no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote in concurrence with the Senate amendments.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The 71 votes on the urgency and the Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving now to file item AB 525. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 525 by Assemblymember Holden and others, an act relating to franchises.
Mr. Holden, you may present.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm bringing back Assembly Bill 525 for concurrence. This bill that modifies and modernizes the California Franchise Relations Act. The amendments being concurred in today represent a historic compromise between franchisees and franchisors. It marks the end of a multi-year stalemate between the franchisees who own businesses and the corporations that have promised to support them. The amendments add clarity and decrease the potential for litigation and increase franchisor accountability. This bill passed the Senate overwhelmingly with bipartisan support and has no opposition. I request immediate transmittal to the governor's office, and I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Wilk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, too, rise in support of AB 525. I stood on this floor and I said that my friend from Pasadena would continue to work with the opponents and that we would make this bill that I thought was a good bill leaving the Assembly even better. He honored his word, and those people who were opposed have all gone neutral on it. So I want to commend you for your work on this and to urge everybody to vote aye.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Aye 68, no 0. The measure passes. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Okay. And as our Majority Leader previously stated for, he's requested immediate transmittal. Without objection, that request is granted. Going now to file item 81, AB 8. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 8 by Assemblymember Gatto, an act relating to emergency services.
Mr. Gatto, you may open.
This is a good bill. I ask for concurrence in Senate amendments.
Thank
you. Seeing and hearing no further debate on this good bill, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will tally the roll and will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 82, AB 285, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 285 by Assemblymember Gallagher, an act relating to professions and vocations.
Mr. Gallagher, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is also a good bill, and I ask for your concurrence in Senate amendments.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to file item 83, AB 315, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 315 by Assemblymember Bigelow and others, an act relating to tribal gaming, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Bigelow, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This, too, is a great bill. It's my privilege today to present AB 315, which truly is a district bill. AB 315 ratifies the Gaming Compact negotiated between the state of California and the United Auburn Indian community, a tribe I'm honored to represent. I urge an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 70, no 0 on the urgency, and the Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 84, AB 503, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 503 by Assemblymember Rodriguez, an act relating to emergency medical services.
Mr. Rodriguez, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 503 is back for concurrence and would allow hospitals to release patient-identifiable medical information to EMS providers for quality improvement purposes. Amendments taken in the Senate clarify that air ambulance providers may receive this information from hospitals. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 85, AB 506. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 506 by Assemblymember Mainshine, an act relating to business.
Mr. Mainshine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 506 is back on concurrence. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 86, we're going to pass and retain. Going now to file item 87, AB 689. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 689 by Assemblymember Dodd, an act relating to eggs.
Mr. Dodd, you may open.
Mr. Chair and members, AB 689 is back on concurrence. We support the amendments. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 72, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to file item 88, AB 762. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 762 by Assemblymember Mullen and others, an act relating to care facilities.
Mr. Mullen, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the benefits of high-quality child care and continuity of care have been well documented. Yet California is one of only 2 states in the country that maintain a siloed, dual-system, dual-licensed child care structure. Because of this dual system, many children are forced out of care at 30 months of age and lose the developmental gains they have made while they wait to begin state preschool at 3 years of age. AB 762 will bridge this gap in care by extending the toddler option on a child care license from 30 to 36 months. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Colleagues, we're going to skip over to Mr. Mullen's second item on today's daily file, which is at item 137. 137 for purposes of amendments, SB 439. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 439 with amendments by Assemblymember Mullen.
Mr. Mullen, you're recognized again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, these amendments to SB 439 by Senator Allen conform language in the bill to existing Secretary of State regulations and other relevant pending legislation. I ask for an aye vote on the amendments.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, we can take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. Going back to our order in the daily file, let's go to file item 89, AB 880. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 880 by Assemblymember Ridley Thomas and others, enact related to dentistry.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise to present amendments to AB 880, or rather it's back for concurrence. Amendments taken in the Senate strengthen the bill by requiring practicing faculty members to supervise dental students who are participating in free dental clinics and sponsoring dental school to ensure that all student services are covered by liability insurance. This bill has bipartisan support, and we would respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to file item 90, AB 851. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 851 by Assemblymember Mays and others, enact relating to local government.
Mr. Mays, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 851 is back on concurrence. This bill updates statutes involving a city's disincorporation, providing badly needed updates. This bill is supported by all major stakeholders and has received no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, noes 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in.